Hooby-doo! It's everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. And today we're going to revisit yet again the Tokina SD 11-16 f2.8 IFDX ATX Pro. Oh, and it's aspherical too, and made in Japan. That's scary. I'm like Scarlett O'Hara and went with the wind, where I beat that horse to death. So I'm going to beat this Tokina horse to death. Now, I originally bought this lens many years ago when I had the Canon digital XTI, and I shot many pictures with that. Went to the city a lot. The city is, what city is the city? Well, it's New York City. I haven't been there in a while. I go to other cities now, or towns, as the case may be. And I previously did a video of some of my New York City jaunts, and I complained about how the XTI and DSLs of that era were usually spoofed by extreme wide-angle lenses. The Pentax K series did that too. They didn't like much anything under 28 millimeters, and the XTI could get to 24 millimeters. Well, what I did was, since I have the US Rebel T3i, which is a really nice camera, it has an full articulated screen. It's a touch screen. What else does it have? They relocated some of the buttons. They upgraded their menu with more features. Let's look at some features, shall we? Meter timer, like they added some stuff. They could change the aspect ratio. It's natively 3:2, but you could change that. Dust delete data, ISO auto. What's the picture? Well, they kept this. If you go here, and let's see if you hit this button, then you could change these parameters, info. Let's see what I got. I got sharpness almost at maximum, contrast is down 1, saturation I have nominal. That's just the way I shoot with this camera. Let's go back to menu. Okay. All right. Quality, peripheral illumination correction. Oh, when I put this lens on this camera, it said it had a correction table for this lens. There's even a Canon lens. So I said, want to use? I said, yes, let's use it. So let's see, live view shoot, protected images, histogram. Oh, that's nice. Base boost, that's for the movie. Auto power off. Select folder, that's good. The earlier Canons didn't let you select a folder, but this one does. LCD brightness, sensor cleaning, custom functions. They have more custom functions. Let's see, ISO expansion, flash sync, long exposure, off auto and on. Well, high speed noise reduction. Oh, look at low, standard, strong, and disable. Highlight tone priority, that's interesting, I use that sometimes. Autofocus drive, operation others, assign buttons. So they did expand their menu, but it takes good pictures out of the box and with just the normal adjustments. But whereas the XTI had trouble focusing this, and maybe between 50 and 85% only if you're lucky, this thing nailed it every time. I went to a town that's close by, and of course, after reviewing the photos I took from New York City and the XTI, I realized how to frame pictures when I went there, and I just took pictures that are suitable for this lens, which is a short wide-angle zoom. It did really good, and we're going to look at the samples following this. This is going to be a very brief video, but still give you an idea. This is a good lens. At the time they made this lens, it was the cameras holding it back. And now here's a lens. It's got to be 10, 15 years old. It's a classic. It's not vintage because it's still in production. And now the camera technology finally caught up to it. One other thing is interesting about the Rebel T3i, it's a hybrid DSLR because it has a live view. If you hit this button, you can go into live view. And then it has a 10x, you could 10x live view, and then you can find focus and manual focus if you wanted to, in case you were having trouble with the autofocus. Now, this autofocus uses a different method than the earlier autofocus, so it's more accurate, and I think it has more autofocus points on the chip. So that probably helped a lot too. But this is a really sharp lens. It's a really sharp lens. Does it have, it's rectilinear mostly. It has some complex distortion, but it's not like fisheye, or it's not barrel, and it's not pincushion. But there is a lot of distortion from perspective. And you'll see that in these pictures. But this is I bought this camera used. I paid $300 for it because it was like two iterations back. I think you're up to the T3i. So I got this cheap, and these things are so expensive. I can't afford to buy them new. Yeah, I want to get all the cool features. Oh, this thing has excellent battery life. Even at 1080 movie mode and 720, you could shoot all day on one battery with it. So this is a nice little number. I really recommend this camera because it is hybrid. You could shoot as a regular DSLR, but you can use it as a mirrorless camera. The mirror pops up, everything's live on the screen, and then you just shoot to your heart's content. And it's a touchscreen too. I think I mentioned that already. So the SD, the Tokina SD 11-16 2.8 is a really nice lens, and you should add it to your kit. It's a really nice lens, and pick them up used. Don't do what I used to do, buy everything new. Pick everything up used. I got this at a camera store, local camera store. I got to see it, and it was in excellent shape, and I got it cheap, and with the battery and the charger, of course. And you can't go wrong. And it still takes excellent pictures. It's not obsolete or anything, really. And it has a nice build quality to it, you know. But the body in this lens is a little hefty. Definitely a little hefty, without a doubt. That's why I have a thick strap on it, so it doesn't cut my head off, you know, slices it off, garroting or whatever you call it. But without further doggy-do, let's go look at some pictures, shall we? The Canon T3i is like 16 megapixels. It has articulated LCD screen. It does movies 1080, 720, and 480. And you know what? They go for like $150. But the Pentax K200D, which does not have an articulated screen, does not do movies, and it's only 10 megapixels, they want like $140 for. So let's face it, you know, unless you have a whole bunch of K-mount lenses, go get yourself the Canon T3i. It's a really, really nice camera. And coupled with the Tokina 11-16 millimeter f 2.8, oh, it's a killer combo. A killer combo. I mean, the autofocus worked perfectly, way better than it did on the XTI. And I went out and I shot a bunch of pictures in Morristown, which has a nickname of MOTOWN. It's a contraction of Morristown to MOTOWN. I call it MOTOWN East. And it's a city. It's a big city, but it's not as big as New York City. And it still has a lot of old architecture there. And it has some new architecture there, like this building. I don't know if this office building is occupied or not. I mean, I go there on weekends, but I never see cars there. I never see people go in and out of it. So who knows? So I have this ultra-modern cube. Then they have some old rinky-dink, old-fashioned alleyway. And then it jumps right back into the ultra-modern. These buildings have just been completed within the last 6 months or something. One's an office building, one's a parking garage. I think the office building has, shall we say, exclusive apartments in it. So, you know, it's a city in motion that's changing, evolving. So it's got all this glass and steel all over with reflections and refractions. And there's townhouses, modern townhouses, next to, modern office buildings. And these buildings are only like five stories tall. So eventually I guess they're going to get knocked down and put up 10 or 20-story buildings. There's all sorts of potted plants along the street they could take pictures of and look at. There's a train station nearby, and I usually get there like 15 or 20 minutes before the train gets there. And here's some, infrastructure work is going on, which is good, I guess. And then they have these quaint little buildings on side streets. This is some bodega, You know, it's like a blue and white stripes. They have these churches all over. This is a more modern church, but still, it's got a big facade I like. This is part of the train tracks. It was just that sort of a day where it was like sort of cloudy, mostly cloudy to partly cloudy to cloudy bright, and it was a low contrast day. But you know, the sun would peek through, and then you get some specular reflections. And they have, like downtown, they have these tall 10-story office buildings, and they got plenty of office garages. There's some more flowers, potted plants along the street. But it's an excellent lens. This lens is an excellent lens. It's the Tokina 11 to 60 millimeter f2.8. It comes in, you could get it, I have it in the Canon EF mount, but you can get it in a Nikon F mount. You can even get it in the Pentax K mount, all with autofocus, natively couples to the camera. So, you know, just because I'm using a Canon body means that you can't get the benefit of this. This is a heavy-duty corner crop right here. And then you can see there's some construction in the background, so that's all going to change. The view that used to be there is going to be gone. This tradition for this parking garage is to hang out a giant American flag for the 4th of July. So I happened to be there on the 4th of July. I went there early, and I walked around before everyone got up, and I snapped some pictures, and then I got out. And there's a lot less hustle and bustle than New York City, and it's easier for me to get to. And this is another parking garage, had their flag on the inside of their parking garage.